Hey guys, and welcome back to G's Autos. Thank you so much for tuning in. Alright, I'm edging closer to getting all the suspension, new suspension, put into the EB. So I've got the shocks, I bought those, the springs are turning up tomorrow, and I may be getting some other things like for the front end, top hats and spring saddles. But I'll make my mind up about those over the next couple of days. So to prepare for that, I wanted to make sure the wheel wells are clean, so I've made a start on those. Well, one anyway. After I did the antenna installation, I've kept everything apart and I've done a full clean up and just cleaned up that area to make sure I've got rid of all the dirt and grease and oil and stuff that's been built up there over the years. So anyway, guys, enough out of me. This is just a run through on what I did and before and after that kind of stuff. So guys, I hope you enjoy. Keep an eye out for the suspension on the EB. Keep an eye out for the stereo system upgrades going in. And there'll be a few other things with the EB as well. Anyway, guys, thank you and hope you enjoy the video. Alright, so this is the condition of the front passenger inner guard. Pretty dirty. So I want to get all this cleaned up before the new suspension goes in and get it looking a lot better than what it is now. So what I've got here is just a garden pressure pack, just with some cheap car wash detergent, and I'll pump that up, I'll spray it on, leave it on for a few minutes, and then I'll get in there and start scrubbing with some brushes. Alright, let's get into it. Alright guys, it is looking a lot better. There's about 90% of the gunk removed. As you can see, there's still a few spots that I still need to really get into. But what I'm going to do, well, what I was doing was just hitting it with the car wash and the brush and the hose. And then I eventually used some degreaser just for the last couple of hand washes. And what I'm going to do now is get into it with just a wipe down with a rag and then see where we're at. So I'll do that now, then we'll take a look. Alright, it is looking a lot better. So I've just given it a wipe down with a clean rag, just so I can see where any other dirty spots might be. And as you can see, there's still a few. So I'm just taking my time going through and doing this. I could go crazy and get into it with a gurney and all this kind of stuff, but I just enjoy taking my time and doing it this way. So I'm going to go through now and give it another wash down, and then that will probably do it. And then I'll move on to the inner guard. I'm going to clean that up and probably give it a coat with some sound deadener, and we'll also clean up that other little piece that goes in here. Get all the dirt and everything off that, give it a clean up, and then we can start piecing all this back together. But looking a lot better, so let's move on. Alright, here we go, we'll have another look. I've just hit it with some degreaser, so now I'll pull the gurney out, and the last hit is going to be with the gurney, and then I'll move on to the inner guard, get that cleaned up, painted, and the little piece that goes in there, we'll get that cleaned up. So let's do it. Alright, so here's that little part of the that little cover for the antenna, and that part of the wheel well. There is the mud flap, and here is the plastic inner guard. Everything's pretty filthy, so I'm going to go through now, give these a clean up, and I'm guessing I'll probably, if I've got enough, I'll coat the inside of this with some paint, some black sound deadener, and give these a good clean up as well. So let's move on to that. Alright, this part here that protects the antenna, I'm going to sprinkle some dishwashing powder over it, clothes washing powder over it. Let that soak in, and then I'll hose that out, and hopefully that'll get a lot of the gunk out. So we'll do that, and then we'll take a look at it. Alright guys, I've gone through and given this guard inside the wheel well a good clean, and I've just hit it with some Prep-Sol just to get rid of any leftover residue. So this is all ready to paint. Now, normally if I'm doing painting these inside plastics in the wheel well, I would use the Rust-Oleum sound deadener. However, my local parts store was closed, so I had to go somewhere else, and I picked up some of this. Never used it before, but I'm going to give it a crack and see what it's like. I am a fan of Duplicolor products. I think their paints are very, very good. So let's hit this now with some bed armour and see how it comes up. Just going to give this a minute, and then I'm just going to hit it with a bit more and fill in the gaps, and we'll come back and have a look. Alright, so I've given it a good coat. Look, as you can see, there's lots of runs. This comes out a lot thinner compared to the Rust-Oleum product. So look, I've murdered it, but I suck at painting anyway, so that's my excuse. Look, it's under the car, no one's going to see it. It's just there, a little bit of extra protection for the plastic. But yeah, look, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I suck at painting, so feel free to bag me in the comments. That is cool. I am A-okay with that. Anyway, let's go have a look at the other pieces and see how they cleaned up. Alright, this one came out pretty good. As you can see, that's come apart along there. I do have some Sikaflex fabric adhesive, which I'll use. I'll spray it in there, clamp it down and glue that back together. But that's come up pretty clean. But look, you could hose this for hours. You can see that's just the last little bit of water left in it. You could go for hours and hours trying to get all the dirt out of it, but all I was after was to get it a lot cleaner looking than what it was, and that's what I've done. So happy day. So once that dries, I can glue that, and that piece is done. And the mud flapper's cleaned up pretty good. No issues there, as you would expect. So what I'm going to do is I'll let this dry overnight, and I'll put everything back together tomorrow, and then we'll take a look, and yeah, it should look pretty good, nice and clean, a lot better than what it was. Alright guys, so it's the next day. It's been raining overnight and this morning, but anyway, everything's had time to dry. This here is pretty cracked and dried down here. I think I'm going to coat this just to give it a bit of extra protection, paint it with the same stuff I did the plastic trim, and then hopefully do a better paint job than I did on that one. So what I'm going to do here is glue these two pieces back together. As you can see, the original factory glue has just over time let go, so I've got some Sika spray fix for adhesive, and it works pretty good. I did this when I refurbished the AC system in my A82 Corolla. So let's get on to fixing this up now. Alright guys, everything has had time to dry. This is all good now. So this is all being glued up nicely. That Sikaflex stuff is pretty good. Like I said, I used that when I was doing the AC system in the A82, which is still a work in progress. So yeah, and as you know, this is a absolute nightmare. Look at that. Look at those runs. More runs than a summer of cricket in there. Look at that. Anyway, you can't see it, all good. I'm going to start putting this all up underneath the car, and we'll take a look when it's finished. Here's some advice, guys. Don't be a goose like me and put the antenna in before you put that inner guard in. Oh, yeah. Leave the antenna out, put that inner guard in first, put the antenna in, now put the plastic trim in. Alright guys, it's all done, all back in. Those 3 Phillips heads on the mud flap, I did put anti-seize on those, just to make things easier in the future. But it's all in. All that brown discoloration you can see there, it's not actually dirt. It's the sound deadener. once it loses the black in it, it just goes brown. But she's all definitely clean in there, and it looks absolutely fantastic compared to what it was. So now I need to move on and do all the other 3 wheel wells. Happy days. Thanks, guys.